Hello everyone, hope you're having a fantastic, what day is it, Wednesday? Wednesday, yes it is Wednesday all day. Hope you're having a fantastic day and you're excited for this live. Now it is a bit different, this one's very different to the things I normally do, but it's very exciting because it actually resonates with me quite well. So I'm excited to share this with you. Before we get started guys, make sure you hit 1 if you can hear me, just so I know everyone can hear me. Prakash, how are you? Sylvia, Mel, we've got John, Lynn, so many regular names. I can see regular faces, which is fantastic. Just give me a 1 in the comments so I know that you can hear me. It should be coming through loud and clear. Cloudless blue skies. It is here actually as well. It's quite nice here today. 1, thanks Madeline. That's what I'm looking for. I wonder if Mike is here. Now, before we get started, guys, make sure you hit the share button. And you can share it in groups where you're allowed. You can share it absolutely anywhere you're allowed to, on pages, on your profiles. Get it shared, get it out there, because this live is very unique. Now, it's a traffic source, okay? We all love traffic. We all love getting traffic to our offers. But this particular traffic source is fantastic for building our brands, okay? It's fantastic for building my brand. In fact, I don't know if Rob's here, but me and Rob actually did this a while back. It's one of the first things I did on camera, actually, probably 3 years ago. I think it shocked me how many downloads we got. We got tens of thousands of downloads, okay? It was insane. Can anyone guess what this traffic source is? There might be a few clues. A few of you may know because you've seen other people talking about it. Can you guess this traffic source? It's organic, so you don't have to pay loads of money to get it out there. It's pretty much free. As long as you can do a few things, it's fairly easy. It's very enjoyable. And if you do it yourself, okay, it actually builds your skills. It actually makes you better at presenting and things like that. You don't have to do it yourself. And that's one of the reasons we actually got a special guest coming on in a minute and showing you how to do this without doing it all yourself. So 2 people have got it right so far. It is a podcast, guys, okay? And I know that scares a lot of people off, and you're thinking, oh my god, I've got to sit there and I've got to go on video, or I've got to go on iTunes, or whatever you think you've got to do. You haven't, okay? This really is, in fact, I wonder how many people watch my podcast or listen to my podcast. I used to record them, put them on YouTube. Me and Rob used to do these, and it kind of got me into the swing of doing lives, okay? It's got me into the swing of doing lives. You guys don't have to do that. You don't have to sit here and record yourself. You don't have to, awesome Dennis, you don't have to record yourself. You don't have to do anything you don't want to. Not webinars, no. Webinars for me actually came after podcasts. I'm not a podcast expert by any means. I just enjoy doing them, especially with someone like Rob, who has a fantastic voice for radio. Okay, so now you know what it is, guys. We're going to show you a way you can leverage this without jumping on, without doing it yourself. And smashing and building this extra traffic source. Okay, so I'm actually going to bring on a special guest. You guys know, well, you should know this guy by now. We've had him on enough times. He's been on many times. Let me just find him, because it's always a case of, I don't know why I don't do this beforehand. So you guys will know the superstar I've got coming on. He has been with us many times before. He's actually, there we go, I found him. Just got to wait for you to bear. He's actually done a few products, and I think this will be his 5th time live, I think. Possibly 4th. Let me bring on the legend that is Neil Napier. Neil, how are you, mate?
I'm doing very well, Ben. Thank you.
Awesome. Everyone should know Neil. He's a legend in this space. I love working with Neil. He's got a lovely temperament about him. He works incredibly hard. I don't want to take too much away from what you're actually going to show people. How did you get into podcasting yourself? How did you come up with this idea of how to do what you're going to show people?
Well, you know, one of our core products is Mailview, and that's an email marketing platform. And we've been looking at ways to market it online. And I find that the blogging space is overly saturated right now. If I want to do something on YouTube, that's saturated as well. So I've been looking for places where I can still have a voice, quite literally, but it's not saturated in terms of traffic. And also, there's some automation thrown in, like it is with content marketing or YouTube marketing.
Yeah.
So we've been looking at podcasting for that, and it's been incredible, must say.
Awesome. So I'm going to actually let you delve straight into it, mate. So I know you'll have everything tied down to a T. So I don't need to do anything for this live pretty much. I'll be listening. Guys, if there's questions, okay, any questions you've got, if Neil doesn't hear them for whatever reason, because I know we're live in a few places, Neil, I'll store them for the end. Or if you've got a space, I might ask them then. But I'm going to share your screen so everyone can see it. I'm excited for this, guys, because this has actually made me want to get back into podcasting, which I never thought would happen, because I really enjoyed doing these. And if you're worried about jumping on camera and things, like, just watch this training and see what that can do for you. It's absolutely awesome. So you should be able to see, guys. Just let me know you can see Neil's screen. Just let me know you can see Neil's screen and that you can still hear him.
Perfect. And yeah, the method that I'll show today, you don't need to be on camera. You don't even need to record your own audio if you don't want to. So it's perfectly okay for you to leverage automated voiceovers. So we'll cover that on this call as well.
Awesome. That sounds good. Just let me know you can hear us, guys, in the comments, because I'm excited for this. This has made me want to get back in. There you go. Neil, I'm going to leave it to you, Matt. I'm going to be sitting here in the background.
Sounds good. I'll get off video as well. And just so you know, if I sound a little bit quiet, that's probably because I told Wayne before we're sleep training our 2.5-year-old again, like it's probably the third time. And he's a bit ill at the moment. So he's just, he popped out here when I was talking to Wayne earlier. So if that happens again, I'll just pause for a minute, just call my wife, put him back to bed, and come back to you. But, Wayne's quite right there. The thing I want to discuss with you today is all about podcasting. And I know when you first think of podcasting, it's not sexy in traditional form like content marketing is or YouTube marketing is, primarily because everyone's talking about content marketing or YouTube marketing to you. You've heard that many, many times before. In fact, I've been on one of these sessions talking about social media or content marketing. So it is really big. But the fact remains that average people like you, I, Wayne, everyone else are actually leveraging podcasts to build six-figure businesses. So they are literally recording their audio, putting it out there, or jumping on someone else's podcast and driving traffic through that. And it's not just about money. I mean, I like the six-figure business idea, but it's about the message as well. For example, Eric Payne, he had a really bad divorce, and it took him some time to overcome the issues from that divorce and then start dating again. And he realized there were a lot of men out there who were going through the same thing, who had divorced after being married to someone for a decade or two, and he taught them through podcasts about dating after divorce. So it's not just the fact that he was able to build a business out of it, but the fact that he shared a message with people. So that's very important. Then you've got someone like James Tardy, who was able to build a six-figure business with podcasting, selling her products and services. You've also got Rob Blake, who, again, put content out there, and he had 10,000 downloads consistently in the top 100 podcasting, documentary podcasts, and he was able to build know, like, and trust with his audience. So when it comes to actually selling, building know, like, trust with your audience is a prerequisite to that, and podcasting makes that happen. Now, again, I understand that you may have reservations about what kind of podcast we should do, but don't worry, we'll talk about that today. Now, these are actually smaller case studies, believe it or not, because there is $100 million unicorn in the podcasting universe. And you may have heard of him, probably have heard of him. I'm talking about this guy. I'm talking about Joe Rogan. So last year, I think it was in 2020 or early 2020 or 2019, he signed a deal with Spotify for more than $100 million. More than $100 million. That also includes shares that he got for Spotify, just to take all his podcast directory over to them and continue to do podcasts on Spotify and not on YouTube. So they literally paid him $100 million to podcast, to do what he was already doing on YouTube, but just do it on Spotify. And since then, Spotify has become really big for podcasting. And then there's more options. There's a political podcast called Chapo Trap House that's doing 147,000 a month via their membership site. So they have a paid podcast that's doing 147,000 a month. Pat Flynn runs Smart Passive Income Podcast that's doing 100,000 per month. You've got S3 Comedy and Reaction Video Podcast that's doing 500,000 a month. And the Ringer Sports Podcast, they follow different models. So they don't actually sell their own products or services. They essentially run ads in their podcasts. So they have someone who does the audio, and they put the audio in their podcast. Collectively, they have made over $15 million just from these sponsored ads. Think about this for yourself as well. I'm giving you big examples, but think about it for yourself. Have you listened to a podcast in the last 6 months? Yes or no? Because most people have. I mean, it's kind of funny, but I discussed with my wife because she listened to a lot of podcasts on Spotify, and sometimes when she can't sleep at night, she would listen to some like funny stories or something on Spotify, and then fall asleep to that. And I'm a bit annoyed. I'm like, you're listening to another man's voice in your ears as you fall asleep. That's kind of bad. We joke about it, but the funny thing is, the podcasts have become so sort of common in our day-to-day life that we just take them for granted. Like, you have probably heard a podcast if you're going for a jog, going to the gym, if you've been cooking, if you couldn't sleep, if you've been sitting on the toilet, any which way you've probably heard a podcast episode. So if it is that common right now, why aren't more people doing it? Why aren't more people doing their own podcasts? So we actually did a survey internally before we got into this idea of having a podcast product. We did a survey internally, and we asked people like, hey, podcasts were great, here are all the case studies, why are you not doing it? So this is what they said. Problem number one, they said, to create a podcast, we need to create our own content, and content creation from scratch takes time. That is 100% true. If you have to create content every time you need to do a recording, for example, it takes time, right? You literally have to write the whole thing out. Problem number two, I don't have voice for radio. I mean, honestly, I have audio issues all the time. I love Wayne's setup because he's got the perfect audio setup. I don't have such a good audio setup. So to me as well, it feels a little bit like, do I really want to record my own audio? I'm not sure, right? I have those doubts as well. Problem number three, actually hosting and marketing podcasts can be confusing. I'm not even saying expensive. I mean, expensive is another thing, but when I talk to people about podcasts, they mostly say, I don't know where to start. So if that's the case with you as well, then hosting and marketing podcasts is actually more complicated than you would have imagined. And that's what stops a lot of people as well. A lot of people are not able to do this because they don't know how to do this. And that's something I want to fix for you today. So here's what you will see today. I'm going to showcase how you can create and monetize podcasts without buying expensive equipment, writing a single word yourself, recording your own audio if you don't want to. If you want to do that, that's perfectly fine. But if you don't want to do your own audio, that is perfectly okay. Without having any creative skills, without paying expensive outsourcers, and the method that I'll show you today, you don't even need to be an expert to do this. Okay, so again, if you're coming here on this session, you're like, I'm relative newbie, I've tried YouTube marketing, I've done content marketing, I've tried this or that, nothing's worked because it required these things. The method I'll show you today doesn't require any of that. So keep watching. And do note again, at the end of the session, for 25 people only, and again, this is, I think, a one-off session that we're doing for 25 people only, you can get an incredible package deal where we give you full access to a content and podcasting suite. So everything that I'll show you today with unlimited capabilities, you can be one of the 25 people to get access to that package. Now, here's a quick disclaimer. I will walk you through what works through a specific system that I'm now using myself and is bringing me consistently great results at the time of this session. My results are certainly not typical, and there's a good chance that you will not get the same results. However, I am happy to show you exactly what is working for me right now for free, though again, it's not for everyone. So if you don't know me, my name is Neil Napier. I have done a few sessions with you before, probably you've been on one of those. If you haven't, I basically started my online journey in 2012. And I started my journey, I turn online to basically replace my income. And I wanted to make enough money so I didn't have to be in my job. And ironically, I got fired from my job because I was a little bit lazy, but also because it was the recession. I was working for a bank. So sooner or later I would have gotten fired. And that happened in 2010. And since then, since 2012, I've been selling products online, started with information products, then moved on to software. And all this time in the last 8 years, I've been focusing on finding new and easy ways to generate traffic, to find untapped traffic sources. And again, podcasting is one of those. As I will show you, it is actually much easier to do with the method that I'll share today than, say, even do video marketing or even write a blog post, for example. Podcasting is actually easier, as I'll share today. And again, in my business, in my line of business, we've done quite well for ourselves. Last year was a mega year for us. I know it's a difficult year around the world, but for us, financially, it was a really good year. We did almost close to $6,000 a day in sales. $6,000 a day in sales as a product owner. Right. Now, typically on these sessions, Abhi joins me as well. Abhi is a video creation, video marketing expert, but he's not here, so I'll skip past him. But he knows a lot about podcasting as well because, like me, like you, like everyone, he consumes a lot of podcasts too. So I want to go through the problems one more time, then I'll basically show you how to fix them. Problem number one, content creation from scratch takes time. It's true. If I give you a blank piece of paper and say, hey, write something down, write, 1,000 words about any topic, you're going to struggle a little bit. At the very least, it's going to take time. Problem number two, a lot of people don't want to record their own voiceovers. Understandable. Problem number three, hosting and marketing podcasts, we don't actually know where to start. So my proposition to you is this. What if you could, in 3 steps, without any skills, create new podcasts on demand? And I can't spell new, I apologize for that, but what if you could, in 3 steps, without any skills, create new podcasts on demand? You could do this for yourself. You could do this for other people. You could do this for your friends, for your family, whoever. Doesn't matter. And these are 3 steps. You start by curating or creating content using Be Content. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is you either record your own voiceover or you use AI-driven audio using Voice. And number 3, you publish and promote your new podcast using Bcast. So you publish your podcast and you promote it and you monetize it using Bcast. So if you're ready for the 3 steps, I'll go into much more detail. If you're ready for the 3 steps, just type in a 3 for me. And I know there's a bit of delay for when I will see your 3s because of how this works, but I still want to know, I still want to be sure that you want me here, that you want to see this in action as to how good this method is. So type in the 3 so that I know that you won't walk through of this process. Okay. All right. Let me see. Perfect. I see a few 3s coming in now. So here we go. Step number 1. I want you to create your content. Now, the simplest way to do this is you pick up a piece of paper and a pen and you create a bullet point list. Right? So you may decide, okay, I want to talk about how to cook on a budget. Maybe that's what you want to talk about. Write down all the talking points. What kind of meal should you cook? Where should you buy the ingredients? Like how much you should spend on the ingredients, recipes, all of those things, right? So that could be your whole podcast outline. Write down talking points. Then scope it out. That is, write it out. So people who are starting to do podcasts literally write down every single word they're going to say so they don't get lost. They don't ramble accidentally. So if you are that detail oriented, you could literally write down 4, 5, 6 pages of content that you could just read out. Or you could just use that bullet point list. But once you do that, do a couple of test runs. Kind of make sure that you are going through the content and it makes sense. That's what you want to do. So you can do this by yourself, like every single time. It's a little bit time-consuming process, but it works. So you can do this, or you can use Be Content. Now, I will demo this for you a little bit later. I'll come to demos at the end. But B content, you may have seen this, you may not. Essentially, and I want to be very open with you because you may have seen this, it's a white label version of Content Gorilla. You've seen Content Gorilla before, which essentially allows you to go out there, find a YouTube video with Creative Commons licenses that has transcription, closed captions. You can copy those closed captions and you can turn them into an article, for example. So you can use the same process to create the content for your podcast. Straightforward, right? So you're curating copyright-free content from YouTube so that you can later turn that into audio, which happens in step number 2. See, now that you have an outline, for starters, you're going to write out the entire content, right? And then you're going to send it to a voiceover artist. Now, there's some really good people on places like Fiverr, Upwork. For example, you can hire Sabrina, and for, let's say, about 20 minutes of podcast audio, it's going to cost you about, I would say, a couple of hours of work because she'll have to do some editing as well. So you're paying $120 for a podcast, which is not a bad price, by the way. It's a really good price. Or you could choose to record it yourself. So you could be like, you know what, I don't want to pay $120 for every recording, so I'll just record it myself, which, if you can do, it's a really good idea. Do what works for you. You can outsource it or you can do it yourself. Or you can use. Now, like B content, which helps you solve the content problem, B voice helps you solve the voiceover problem. The way B-Voice works, and I will show you this later as well, is that you can come in, take your content, and you can turn that into computer-generated voiceover. Now, these are not just any computer-generated voiceover because you can do a lot of things here, such as add emphasis, put stress levels on content, add paragraph breaks, select pitch. You can have a higher pitch or lower pitch, select speed, sentence breaks, that sort of thing. So you can really customize the content audio as you see fit. And again, I will demo this for you in just a little bit. The end result is that you have an audio file that you can now upload to a podcasting platform. And this is the final step. Step number 3, publish and market your podcast. Now, the solution that I'm about to show you was built for marketers. So you can find other solutions out there that will help you publish a podcast. Buzzsprout is one, Transistor, I think another one's called Castos. I'll show you a comparison table in a little bit. They're all built for delivering podcasts, which is great. That's kind of what you want. But none of them are actually focused on marketing. That is, none of them help you in lead generation, number one. None of them help you in actually getting traffic by publishing these podcasts. So while they do give you an infrastructure to have your podcasts online, they don't actually help you in marketing. The solution that we have is called Bcast. And again, I will demo that for you shortly, but I want to tell you this first. Bcast is not something we created last month. It's been selling for the past 8 months. And in these short 8 months, they have done over $1 million in sales already. They have a big audience base and they have done over $1 million, I think nearly $1 million in sales. And I say that to emphasize that this is not a software that is fly by night. It's basically being used by real professionals to publish podcasts which are getting hundreds of thousands of downloads every month. So it's quite big in that respect. Now, Bcast has some really good features where you can distribute your podcast instantly. You can publish your podcast to YouTube if you want to. Then you can also do what we call audio inserts. So as I mentioned earlier, if you wanted to run some sort of sponsorship, you could go to someone else and say, hey, look, I can talk about your product in my podcast. I'm getting 1,000 downloads per podcast. And for that, you can charge anywhere between $100 to $200. So they will give you an audio insert, which is like 30 second to 1 minute audio file. And you can put that in the beginning or at the end. So you get paid by running sponsorship ads. You can generate leads with podcasts. You can convert listeners into leads. And you can add them directly to autoresponders. There's one-click transcription as well. So when you record a podcast, if you record it yourself or by other means, it's going to automatically transcribe it for you, which for SEO is a godsend. Because Google doesn't really rank audio content that easily. They just don't. Instead, if you have the written content next to it, the text that's being spoken, it's really going to help your chances of ranking higher up in Google. Plus, when you publish a podcast, it also gives you a ready to go website right over here. So you have a website that you can share with people, or they can find it organically and they will consume your podcast content. You can also run private podcasts, by the way. So if you have a membership site, if you want to sell podcast content, basically, you can restrict your podcast with a private feed, and people with only certain email addresses can access it. So that works as well. Now, there are a few more features. I mean, there's built-in traffic syndication and that as well. But what I want to do now is actually want to give you a walkthrough of all the three platforms. So give me 1 second. I'm going to slowly bring each of them into view, and you can see how they work. So this is the first one. This is B content, step number 1. And again, if you have your own content, no worries. You don't need to use this, but I would advise you to use this even just for some research. For example, let's say if I wanted to, as I said earlier, I wanted to create a podcast around eating on a budget, right? So I could search for budget recipes, and I could search for videos with Creative Commons licenses, which essentially means that you can use that content easily, right? So let's say you could pick, for example, something like this. Just click on Create Post, and that will give you the transcription from that content. So you can see it's quite clean, it's quite easy to read. You can change it as you want to, right? So you can correct some grammars from this content itself. You can spin it as well. If you spin it though, you will have to correct grammar even more, for example, because some of it is contextual. But anyway, let's say if I have this content is ready. It's about 575 words. So it's obviously a very short podcast episode. I'm not going to do that short a podcast episode. But let's assume if this was my written content, it's done. You could make changes to it, do whatever you want, but this is good to go. There are other features in B content, but I just want to show you this one because that's the key feature that you need to know. So this is done. That's our content. Step number 2, if you remember, was B Voice. Now, B Voice is a text-to-speech platform that we have built for you. Now, when you come in, if you want to get started, there are multiple options available that you can use. So you can use Amazon Poly to create voiceover. You can use Microsoft WaveNet, or you can actually use some of the presets that we have. I like the presets the best because for me, they're just easy to use. For example, this one is conversational. If I play it, actually, you won't be able to hear it because of the way my audio is connected. But let's say if I wanted to use this one, I would just select this and I'll put my text here. So for now, I'll just copy, let's say this text, just to show you. Okay. Amazon and Microsoft do have some limits in terms of how much audio you can generate at any given time. So I think we have some restriction that you can do, I believe it's like 3,000 characters or something at a time. But you can always merge audio files later to create a bigger audio file. So that's perfectly fine as well. That's perfectly okay. All right. So if I go with this, for example, let me jump on over here. Okay. What I can do is I can select this text and I can select the stress level to be loud for this thing. If I select this one, I can select emphasis to be strong. So what this does is it creates conversational content so it sounds better. So for example, I'll call this and again, the podcast is going to be much bigger than this, but I'm showing you this for demo purposes. You can click here and you can listen to the audio. Okay, so once you're happy with this, you can just go ahead and save it. Or you can even enter a URL, and that's where the text will be grabbed from. Or you can load up a file, for example. You can use that too. Or you can even translate the text. So you can choose to translate this text to, for example, Danish, and it'll be translated. And then you can do Danish voiceovers if that's what you wanted. So let's go ahead and save this. Okay, it's done. Cooking Recipe Podcast file is available. I'm going to download it. That's the MP3 1619. Perfect. Then, next up, I'll go into Bcast. So Bcast, I'll give you a demo of this as well in a little bit. I want to show you first how to actually use it. So for example, if I go into this one, this is a demo podcast that we're using. I'll jump into episodes. Then I'll go ahead and add a new episode. So I'll add the episode. I'll call this cooking recipe or then I can choose when I want this to be published. So it could be sometime in the future or immediately. I could give an episode number. If it's live, I can say it's live. Then I can drop an image next to it as well. And this is where I will drop the audio file. There you go. That's it. That's all it takes to publish your podcast. Once you save this, once you publish it, it goes through. That's all you need to do. Simple as that. And just to show you what your podcast look like, I'll go to this one. So we've kept, in Bcast, we've basically kept it very clean. It's not congested. It's like if you've used Medium before, it looks like that, right? So it's very simple. So when you come in, there's a big branding, big logo. People can sign up with their email address as well, so they can stay up to date. And then they can either listen to the podcast here, or they can jump on over to Apple, Google, Spotify, Podchaser, Amazon Music, or Stitcher right from here, or they can just listen to podcast right over here. Okay, they can hit the play button and they can listen to the podcast. They can even change the speed here. So if they wanted to listen to podcast at 2x the speed, they can do that as well. So with this, you are able to create and publish podcasts very quickly. You can drive traffic to your social media sites, and we have built-in features where we automatically syndicate your content to multiple directories such as iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, what I showed you. So that way, you don't need to publish your podcast in 6 different places. You just put it in one place and it's good to go. Plus, as I mentioned, you can do audio inserts as well. So that way, you're able to put in ads. And, you know, for example, in this case, Ahrefs, we can go and charge them $250 for every podcast ad that we run. So anytime we add this ad to a podcast episode, we can charge them $250, and that's what they pay for. Then you can also go to analytics and see how many views your podcasts are getting. For example, let's say in this year, you can see this is what the traffic has been like. Sometimes it's been high, sometimes it's been low, but it's been consistent. It's been fairly consistent. After a podcast goes live, you know, there's traffic slows down a little bit, but then it picks up again, slows down, picks up again. That's how it goes. And a lot of this is global, so it comes from around the world, as well as it's basically evergreen. So it comes from many different places. It comes to all different episodes, so you can see which episode's getting most amount of traffic, for example, and that way you know what kind of content to actually do. And these analytics are important, right? So that's what Bcast does. It helps you publish a podcast, and then it helps you also build a list with that, but also do audio inserts so you can make sponsorship money, for example. So let me know in the chat box, and again, it'll take some time for me to see the responses, but in the chat box, if you feel this is a really easy method to create your own podcast, because again, that's been the thing that's held most people back all this time. Like, we don't know how to do this. Like, we listen to podcasts and we know it works really well, but we don't know how to do this. So let me know in the chat box, what do you think about this? Do you think podcasting is something that now seems much more achievable? Because in our case, for example, I spoke about this earlier, we're looking to do a podcast on Millview. Now, I absolutely do not have time to create unique content all the time. There's no way I'm going to be able to put out new content every single day. So our strategy is to mix it up, to basically put out one content a week that is our own, that's something we have recorded, and then 2 more pieces a week which are pre-recorded content that we have curated from YouTube, turn that using a voiceover into content that people can listen to. Like, hey, this is something that, we've been paying attention to. This is how you do email marketing. Check this out. So a quick 5-minute podcast. That's it. So podcasting is all about delivering quality content to your audience with which you can build know, like, and trust. And that's what Bcast Suite allows you to do. So we, initially when I thought about bringing Bcast to market, I thought I'll just give you the podcasting platform and that's fine. But then Abhi and I got together, we said, okay, we want to make it easier for people. Like, podcasting is good, but it's not sexy enough. How can we make it even easier for people? So we decided to give you ways to curate content and then take that content, turn that into automated voiceovers so you don't have to pay expensive outsourcers for that. So you don't have to pay radio personalities for that. Now, the entire suite today is available at a one-time price. So B Content, which by the way, B Content does a lot more. As you know, like I said, it's a content gorilla white label. So it also helps you publish your content on your blogs, syndicated through social media, for example, so you can do that as well. B Voice is something we haven't released to public before. It's basically text to speech, but with settings so that you can actually enhance the quality of that voiceover, of that audio. And then finally, you've got Bcast, which hosts and helps you market your podcast as well. And I'll show you a few competitors of that as well in a little bit. But as you will see, the deal that I'm going to share with you today is really, really incredible. So let me ask you this. Who here wants everything we have to offer today at a ridiculously low price? And again, I'm going to go look back at the messages just to make sure I can still see them. Who here wants everything at a ridiculously low price? Let me know. Looks so easy. Mandy says, good. Good. Awesome. Cool. So what we have to offer to you today is the absolute unlimited version with business agency rights and a new software called Podreel that I'll show you today as well. And the entire thing is called the Bcast Suite bundle deal. So as you know, when I get on these webinars, we don't just offer you one software, then an upsell, then an upsell, then an upsell. It's basically an entire bundle deal. It starts with Bcast Suite Professional. So I want to compare, to begin with, Bcast Suite with our closest competitors, Transistor, Buzzsprout, Costco's. So if you were to compare us to any of these platforms, none of them have the content curation capability. None of them have the voiceover capability. You have to do your own podcast, basically. Then they don't offer unlimited storage. None of them do. Zapier integrations are hard to come by. They don't offer audio inserts, which is kind of weird because that's how a lot of people make money with podcasts. We do. So Bcast gives you access to B content, B voice, Bcast, where you can create up to 3 podcasts with unlimited episodes, by the way. So when I say 3 podcasts, I mean, each podcast is like one business type. And then under that, you can have multiple episodes. You can also curate content, like I shared earlier, from YouTube, from videos that have Creative Commons license. You can generate quick leads, sales, and profits. And because you can create transcription as well from these podcasts, it essentially helps you with SEO as well. So it's going to automatically help you rank your content on Google. So there's a lot of things you can do with this professional license. Now, if you're wondering, does it work? As I mentioned, Bcast is a widely used application, and anyone who has looked at it absolutely loves it. Anyone and everyone says that Bcast is by far one of the easiest podcasting software they have used. So we're giving you access to that. Plus their bonuses. As always, their bonuses. So I strongly believe in not just offering you a solution, but to show you how that works, to show you how you can use it for yourself. So we'll be working with you to show you how to generate 6 figures like many others have done with podcasting. How to generate 6 figures with podcasting. Bonus number 2, we'll share how you can create a killer title for your podcast as well. Okay, how you can create a killer title for your podcast. Number 3 is a Courseable traffic blaster bonus. So we'll show you how to get traffic from Pinterest for your podcasts. Number 4 is the SEO Software Pro. So this software is going to help you rank your content based on simple SEO algorithms. Okay? Then, all of this, by the way, if you were to get it separately, it'll cost you $97. Now, an upgrade to that is Bcast Suite Unlimited. As I mentioned, you don't have to pay for this upgrade. You will get access to this upgrade as part of this bundle deal. But with this upgrade, we remove any and all limitations. So you get unlimited podcasts, unlimited content, unlimited voiceovers. Because of cost, though, we do have to restrict transcription and bandwidth as well. So this time with this upgrade, your bandwidth goes 10x per podcast. So you could literally have, I think it's 50,000 podcast downloads a month for a particular podcast, and 300 minutes, so 5 hours of podcast transcription per podcast. You get that as well. And remember, you have unlimited podcasts, right? Unlimited content search that you can do, unlimited voiceovers that you can do, extra transcription and bandwidth, and you get a dedicated support team to help you as well. And we have a special bonus here too. So just for this launch, we have created a special podcasters content pack, because we know when you run podcasts, you will have to essentially do music, before and after, in the middle of it, whatever. So we give you 600 professional sound effects, pre-roll, mid-roll, post-roll, and audio transitions that you can use. And with B content, you get upgraded, so you get additional automation if you wanted to do blog-based content, as well as you can do longer podcast content with it. So you can merge a few different files together, and you can do longer podcasts. Like Joe Rogan does 4-hour long podcasts, which I think is too long, but he does that, right? So you could do that too if that's what you wanted to do. Now, there is more. As part of this bundle deal, you will also get access to Bcast Suite Business. So look, this may not appeal to all of you, but I think it will appeal to some of you. You could actually run your own podcast agency. That is, you could host other people's content for them, or you could create content for them, even using the methods that I've shared with you today, and you can charge them for it. Bcast Suite Business gives you all that capability. So you get a done for you business website that you can use to offer your services. You get virtual and team accounts as part of Bcast as well. And your clients can automatically pay from that side. They can schedule appointments with you. And you can also use 6 stunning and compelling videos as commercials for your business. We also give you an app called Website Clients Finder that's going to help you find local leads that may be interested in podcasting. Maybe. Gym owners might be. Then you also get ready-made client contracts, as well as done-for-you print-ready graphics, Facebook ads that you can use to sell your services, and 100 done-for-you lead magnets as well. So we literally are throwing the whole kitchen sink at you to help you go out there, close businesses, to help you out there and close clients. So you get access to that as well as part of this bundle deal. We have some more bonuses. We've got the Done For You Consultancy Pack, Price Wars, which is basically training to show you how to price your services, and finally Local Upsell, which is a training to show you how to get your foot through the door and then charge businesses more later on. Now there's still more. See, when I do these sessions, I feel like I'm reading a sort of a menu list at a restaurant. Like there's more, there's more. Or there's infomercials, late night infomercials. But wait, there's still more, right? That's what it is. There's more still to offer to you. So one of the products that our teams have been working on is called PodReel. Now, we want to give you early access to this, and here's what I mean by that. PodReel is actually developed, and we have it in our development server. It's ready to go. But our team's based out of India. As you probably know right now, COVID's hitting India quite badly, so it's not available in production. But this is what PodReel does. PodReel will take your MP3 and convert it into a video. And there are other tools that do that too, by the way. So we're not the first one in the market. There's another tool called Headliner. Let me show you. So headliner.app is another tool, which is, I'll be honest, this is essentially what we cloned, right? So they do this: bring your audio, add animations, captions, GIFs, videos, images, and export your video and share it across social accounts. And they charge you for this level, which doesn't have watermark, so they charge you $20 a month. So we give you all of this that you see right here for a one-time payment of $67. Okay, so if you were to get everything separately right now, this is how much you'd be paying for all of this. You'd be paying, for example, for the professional license, you'd be paying $97, though I think it's worth $197. For the unlimited, you'd be paying $297. For the business license, it's worth $497 because there's a ton of value, but we have lowball price at $67. If you were to get the pod reel, and I apologize about the structural mess up, you'd pay $67, but that's an early order, pre-order rather. Otherwise, it's going to be like Headliner, $20 a month. You're getting access to all these things. Plus, on top of that, you're getting access also to the live training session that we're doing, Courseable Traffic Blaster, additional transcription limits, additional bandwidth limits. You're getting podcaster content pack that we've created specifically for you as well. No, I said 67 one time for pod reel. Okay, so professionals available right now to buy for 97. I think it's 97, maybe discounted to about $80. Unlimited for 297, business for 67, pod reel for 67, along with all these bonuses. Now, what I want to do is I want to give an insane deal. The whole point of me doing this live session with you is so that I can hold your attention and they give you an insane deal that people only on these live sessions will see. And again, you are seeing this exclusive deal because you are in Wayne's group. So this is priced, if I was to sell this outside in a webinar, all this could easily be priced at $997. Again, remember, this is basically lifetime hosting for your content. I want you to look at it like that. If you were to go out there, Jan, I was in shock as well. Okay, if you were to go out there and say get lifetime hosting for Dropbox or for your websites or for Vimeo, number one, it won't be possible. Number two, if it was, it'd be super expensive. So this is just the same lifetime hosting for your podcasts, but not just that. On top of that, content curation, creation, and also audio creation. Everything is included. So for the first 25 people on this live session today, we want to let you in at a one-time price of $247. Sharon said, when will pod reel be ready? Less than 21 days. Less than 21 days. And we'll reach out to you with access to that. Okay? So all of this is yours for one-time payment of $247. There's no recurring. For people that are going to buy unlimited, they're either paying $297 or $197 a year right now. But you get access to everything that I have showcased here so far for a one-time payment of $247. That's it. But again, it is limited. So when you see the link, please go and get it ASAP and confirm to us that you have gotten it. I will be tracking sales. I've got the sales counter open next to me right now. I will be tracking sales and I will tell you in real time how many seats have gone. So make sure that you do hurry up and then you get access to this at this price. That's where you need to go. trafficdomination.rocks/cast. CAST. trafficdomination.rocks/cast. When you buy this, there are a couple of things I want you to check. Give me 1 second. I'll show you this right now. So again, please type it for me in chat if you are getting this, because I want to be sure that you are getting this and you're one of the first 25 people. 1 second. Okay, I'm just going to go to that link. I think I'll go back to our chat. All right, so when you go to that link, it's going to take a few seconds to take you over. And when you do, you will see a bundle offer. right over here. So we've done this session yesterday for early birds for our list. So again, Wayne asked me, Wayne saw that and he wanted me to do that with you as well. It's 247. Click on get the bundle. When you do, you will see this ID at the end, 38917. Please do make sure that ID is correct. It should be 38917. Then from that ID, you'll see the price is actually a bit higher, 346. But I want to talk about this white label option as well, just so you know. So if you wanted to white label Bcast, you could just leave this option tick marked and you can use that as well. And I can tell you, 80% of the people who are getting the bundle account are also getting the white label. Now, you can't white label the domain name because that's for security reasons. We can't cater that for you because we share your content with Apple, Spotify, all these places, and they want to see Bcast everywhere. They don't want to see some new domain name that just started like 2 days ago. So you cannot, for security reasons, rebrand the domain name, but you can put your own logo. You can essentially create sub accounts, and this is where it gets really, really interesting. This is almost a loophole, right? I don't want to present it as such because, of course, I'm selling the product to you, but it's a loophole for you to essentially resell seats into Bcast for any price that you choose. Let me show you what I mean. So if I go to bcast.fm right now, if I look at their pricing, it costs, between 15 a month to 75 a month. Monthly plan, 15 a month to 75 a month. Now with the license that you're getting today, if you go for the white label, you can essentially create what we call sub accounts, right? So you can come in here, add a sub account, you can put their own logo. For example, Wayne would say to me, hey Neil, I want to set up my own podcast. Can you help me? I'd be like, sure, I can help you. It's going to cost you, something low, like $10 a month. And which is much cheaper than what you would pay Bcast, because you'd pay 75 a month at Bcast. I can give you the same software for $10 a month, right? And I would put his image here or his logo, and I'll set up his own account over here. And Wayne could basically use a Bcast level account, and I would get paid for it. So you, as a white label buyer, can do the same thing. So you could essentially create access for people inside of Bcast, and they will pay you whatever price you want. We don't check that. We don't look for that. That's between you and them. But for that, if you want to choose that, all you have to do is, like I said, leave this option ticked. If you say no to this, by the way, I want to show you this as well. That if I can. Okay, if you say no to this, and if you come back to us later on, like, okay, Neil, you know what, now I'm ready, I want to buy. I want to show you how much this would cost you. The same white label that you're getting access to for $99, is selling right now for $297. Right? Buy Bcast Suite white label, the same thing. Like, look, same thing that you are paying for hair, $99. Other people are paying $297 for it. So if you are getting the bundle, which I'd be surprised if you're not, I would strongly advise you, I'd be very, very strongly advise you to go ahead and get the white label license as well. Okay, strongly advise you to go ahead and get the white label license as well. So that's the link you need to go to, https trafficdomination.rocks/cast, CAST, trafficdomination.rocks/cast. Okay, cool. Let me know. This is a really, really good system for you to leverage podcasting for traffic, for authority building. I mean, look at any of the podcasts that exist out there. Those people have high authority in what they are selling. And I'm giving you a method to do all of that without actually creating any content yourself, without actually recording any audio yourself. Just leverage platforms that exist to make your life easier. So again, go ahead, get access to this, and type in bundle so I know that you're getting access to this. When you do, remember, you're going to unlock Podreel as well. So everything that you see over here right now, you're going to unlock that too. So you will get early access to Podreel as well. It's just I will deliver it to you once our team's back from the whole COVID fiasco. Okay, Giovanni, you're right. You probably did buy Bcast from that, but you didn't get B voice and B content from there. And I can tell you that the value that you're getting today, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here, but the value that you're getting here today is far, far more than what you would have gotten from AppSumo all that time ago. I think it's far more than what you got from there. Everyone's been saying that. I mean, we've had AppSumo customers reaching out to us and saying, hey, I want to get the bundle deal as well. Can I get it? We're like, sure, go get it. And if you have that, you can reach out to Bcast team and they can merge your accounts together as well. So you don't lose all the stuff that you have done in your Bcast account. Okay, Michelle, I have you down as a buyer. So you're in. You're within the first 25 people. That's great. So folks, let me know in the chat box who's jumping in. It's an incredible deal. Anyone who wants to generate traffic via a unique, hidden, untapped method that people are building high authority with, or someone like Joe Rogan's getting paid $100 million for, this is the best deal that you're going to ever see in the marketplace. And there's a good reason why you haven't seen a podcasting offer before. One, the costs of doing that are really high because it's basically lifetime hosting, number one. Number two, the second thing you need to be aware of here is that most people would just give you a podcasting platform. We are actually giving you much, much more by giving you content curation and audio marketing suite as well. So both of those are yours as part of the deal. Awesome. So just comment for me, type in bundle if you're in, if you have questions, ask those as well. I'll be more than happy to answer those for you. And Wayne, if you have any comments, it'll be good to know what you think about this.
Neil, that is absolutely awesome. Let me just check everywhere everyone can hear me.
Not sure if I can hear you.
Everyone else can hear me, but you can't, Neil.
Okay.
That is awesome, mate. Absolutely awesome. I mean, normally I put bonuses in, but this is that complete. It doesn't really warrant any bonuses. But if anyone does a live podcast, actually does a live one, I want to jump on with them. I want to help them with that, because I would love to jump on a podcast again and do the first 2 or 3 together. If that's what you want, guys. I mean, you can use the software. If not, use the software itself. But I'd love to jump on a live podcast with you guys. And I know it's scary when you do that kind of thing, but it's absolutely awesome. But what an amazing deal, mate. Liban said, is it one-off, one-time payment, or monthly? Let you answer that, Neil. Oh, I can't hear you, mate. You muted yourself.
Sorry. Yeah. Everyone else can hear me. No, yeah. I'm just kidding. So no, it is definitely a one-time payment. Like really, the amount of value that we're putting in here, it feels like it should be monthly or at least annually, but it is a one-time payment because again, when we do these lives, we want to give an insane deal that, number one, you're not going to see anywhere else. And you're going to walk away thinking like, that was actually a really good use of my time because I walked away with something which in 100 years I would never find anywhere else. That's what I want you to feel. That's what I want you to think. That's what we're giving to you today on this call. Once in 100 years deal.
Exactly. For anyone that's ever thought about doing a podcast, you've got everything you need right there. It's absolutely insane. I wish I had something like this when I started. Luckily, I had someone that kind of knew what they were doing. But even then, this just blows that out of the water. Absolutely blows it out of the water. And what a way to get, like, everyone should know what a podcast is, but you will not believe the brand that builds for yourself. It's insane. I don't know if you found that, Neil, but all of a sudden, like, you will have people, or I had people, so I've listened to your podcast. It's almost like you become a weird little mini celebrity in your own little bubble. And it's awesome.
Yeah, you do. And I mean, I think that's the cool part about podcasts is that you don't have to be on video, so you don't have to look camera friendly all the time. Like I know sometimes I don't want to be on camera, right? So you don't have to be on camera and people still hear your voice. I mean, they know what you sound like because they've been listening to episode after episode of your content, which they wouldn't do on YouTube because you can't really lock your phone while you listen to YouTube because YouTube stops playing the video, for example. So it has its own limitations, and otherwise, they're just going to read your content, and no one has time to read stuff all the time. So audio is something that just passively goes on while you're doing other stuff. So it's very easy way to build authority, to build this affection with your audience, to build a know, like, and trust as well. So that works really well. And Sharon's asking, is there going to be full training? Absolutely, 100%. Look, with anything that we put out there, if you don't do the proper training during and after, it just kind of loses its purpose. So yes, we have full training available. We're doing the first bonus session on the 5th, and then I'm planning another 2 or 3 weeks of training after that, once a week, to kind of walk you through, the right ways, do's and don'ts of doing podcasting, and then go deeper into B voice and B content as well, because B content is a pretty big platform in itself. Like and Wayne knows this because he's seen it before, but it's a really big platform in itself, and you're getting access to that as well, unlimited access, dare I say. So, yeah.
Yeah, the idea, I just see a comment from, we can do live podcasts if we choose. Yes, Michelle, of course. And if you've done a live one, I'll jump on with you. And we can put it out to traffic domination and everything else to help build you up. So whatever I can do to help, I will, because it's one of those things that some people absolutely love doing things on camera and things on, but with your voice, like podcasts. For those people, this is like a dream come true. If it's not, you've got everything else in Bcast that will do it for you. So it's a win-win. Like personally, I know how good a traffic source this is. So if you're going to use it and you can't jump on, you've got the software. Otherwise, jump on and just talk for 30 minutes. That's all I used to do. I literally just used to talk for 30 minutes. And people do love listening to it. Okay? Don't think they don't, guys, because people love listening to it. And it's really good practice as well for you doing lives and stuff. So it really is good. But you don't have to do it. It's the beauty of the software.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, Rona, you've got a really, really good question. I want to address that too. So Rona says, podcasts are all about building know, like, and trust. Would an AI voiceover, or sort of like, a voiceover that's not me, sort of go against that? Is it not just about info? So here's the thing. I am in agreement. Like, where possible, I would like to do everything myself. I would record every video myself. I would do every audio myself. I would answer every comment myself. I would basically clone myself 1,000 times and run my business like that if I could. But to me, life is about 80-20. Like, I can't be perfect all the time. I can't always be out there and do everything the way it must be done. So the second best thing you can do is still put out good content, filler content, using AI voiceover. So I'm not asking you to create your entire podcast with AI voiceover, like every episode should be that. I'm asking you to mix it up. Like, I'm telling you, like, hey, today I didn't have a lot of time to create this for you. So instead, what I've done is I have, sourced some of the best content about email deliverability, and I'll just, let you listen to that. Let me know in the comments, or let me know later what you think about it. So you get feedback from people based on that as well. But again, people know this, that if you're putting out content all the time, you may not always be that person behind that content, and that's okay. But as long as it's relevant, people will still listen. So as long as the content is still something that people pay attention to, it works. I'll give you sort of another example here. So I listened to a while ago a presentation by someone who is running a company with 200 employees. And this person said, look, I'm the CEO of this company, and people can't expect an email from me all the time. They just can't. So, his assistant basically sends out promotional emails. But when he emails, the open rates triple. The click-through rates triple, because people are like, hey, he's mailing, like, it must be something special. So your podcast can work the same way as well. If you do a podcast, even let's say 3 times a week, once a week could be you, twice a week could be filler content. But when it's you, people really pay close attention. But when it's filler content, those that want to hear about the topic, listen to the topic, they listen to the podcast as well. So it's really the 80-20 rule. Like, what can you do in 20% of the time and get 80% of the results? And this is it with podcasting. Otherwise, podcasting becomes a full-time job, which is what we're trying to avoid here.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually, mate, because us as internet marketers, We want to do everything. We want to be on YouTube. We want to do podcasts. We want to do the emails. We want to do a blog. But this is the beauty of using tools like this, guys. You can do it, and it's like having an employee do it for you. And I use tools like this all the time.
And look, I'll be honest, if this is something you're like, I don't want to do it, I would rather do it myself, please do. Like, I would welcome that. It'd be amazing if you created all the episodes by yourself. Like, trust me, there is nothing better. And if you decide to do that, Buzzsprout is the best option for hosting your podcast, right? This is like one of the best options where you can host your podcasts. And let me show you this. This is how much it costs. So you can do 2 hours of podcasts each month, but they host it for 90 days, after which they take them down. So your podcast is really there for 3 months, after which it's gone. Then you can pay, like you can pay 12, 18, 24 a month. 24 a month gives you 12 hours of podcasts every month. You get stats, storage, team members, importing podcasts, and all those things. So what I'm saying is you get all of this and a whole lot more, and unlimited upload, so you're not restricted to 12 hours, and transcription, and unlimited bandwidth. I think it was rather like 10 terabytes of bandwidth, which is about 50,000 downloads per podcast. You get all of that for a one-time fee. So 24 a month by 12, it's more than 250. I'm pretty sure it's more than 250, right? It's 288, right? I'm asking you to pay less than that for a one-time fee for Bcast, lifetime license, plus B content, plus B voice. So in terms of me stacking up this deal, I mean, this is the best deal that you can get. If you feel like, hey, I don't want to use B voice for podcasting, you can use B voice for something else. Like you can use B voice to just put out educational content on YouTube, for example, if that's what you want to do. So I'm kind of hinting this at you. Like there are a few loopholes, I would say, in this software that we've left to your advantage. One of them is that we're actually giving you 3 apps for the price of one. The second one is that for Bcast, we're giving you white label license, which literally means that you can go out there and resell seats to other people, and we won't stop you. That in itself is a moneymaker. 3 apps for the price of one, and the ability within Bcast to be able to create accounts for other people.
Sorry, Neil. Med's got a really interesting, not Med, Bardra, sorry, has got a really interesting question, because this was my question when my friend Rob was trying to get me to do a podcast with him. I was like, well, how the hell do you get traffic to it? How the hell do you get traffic to it? I could answer for me, and then I let Neil answer. But
sure.
All we done was upload them. That was it. Like, that was all we did. And we got, I wish I had the stats. I reached out to Rob and said, have we still got the stats for the podcast? Because we got tens of thousands of downloads, and all I did was tell people to listen to it. But we were getting hundreds upon hundreds of people every single week listen to it without doing nothing. I don't know where they come from. And then they come, in fact, some of you guys might be from the podcast. I haven't done it for about a year now, I guess. But it just kind of happens. We put it on YouTube. We put it on, I think, how many platforms do you syndicate to? Six.
Specifically for podcasting.
We put it to 2. I think we put it on YouTube, iTunes, and something else. Can't remember the other one. But we put it on 2. Maybe in Spotify, maybe. Can't remember. But we put it in 2 places. So you've got an opportunity here, guys, to put it onto 6 different sites. For us, it just came. I don't know what it's looking like for you, Neil. I don't know if you advertised or what you've done, but
so it's a really good question. Like, how do we get traffic, right? So that is something, of course, we'll go deeper into in the bonus sessions. But the first way to get traffic would be to get your podcast over to, like Wayne said, Spotify, Google, as well as you can do, I think Stitcher is another one, and there are 3 more places where you can get traffic from. That's the very first thing that happens automatically. Then with Podreel, you turn that audio into video with waveforms and other things.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, sorry, mate, I thought you'd finished.
No, I thought the kid was coming in again.
Coming screaming.
Then you can, yeah. But then you can basically get traffic from YouTube. And of course, the easiest thing you could do is like, hey, I've just published a podcast. Tell your friends about it. Put it on Facebook. And the thing is, podcast compared to a lot of what you share on Facebook is such a nicer thing, because it's actual content. So it doesn't hurt to tell other people about it. as you publish it.
Yeah. Ida says she used to listen to me and Rob on YouTube. So that's that's brilliant. That's made me quite happy that someone had listened to it, because that shows the power of it. And they're still on YouTube. They're still actually on YouTube. We used to record them, cut the audio out, use it for podcasts, and put the videos on YouTube. That works really well. Can the podcast be other than marketing related? They could be whatever you want, Michelle. Like,
Yeah,
like
anything.
Runa just said she used to do a podcast for the BBC TV show Merlin. So Runa used to do one on just one series on TV. It's literally, you can find podcasts about absolutely anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, as long as you give a bit of value, okay, then it's perfect. How do we use podcasts to grow a Facebook group? This was my Gilbard address, so it started off pretty well. The quality of the leads I think you get from podcasting are probably one of the best leads you can get. It's like, I think they're one of the best leads you can get because they're so warm to you. They tune in, they download every episode. It's kind of weird because I never used to listen to podcasts until I started doing them. But they do. They warm to you super quick. They just listen to you as they're washing up. They listen to you as they're driving, which is what I do. I listen to audiobooks while I'm driving. You're getting right in their psyche. So it's a fantastic place to be able to sell from and build that know, like, and trust.
So we actually, one of our Facebook groups, it's funny you mentioned that, Batra, because in one of our Facebook groups, we asked people, like, how did you hear about me or about us? Because I've been in many podcasts talking about course creation. And they often say, oh, I heard you on this podcast. I'm like, oh, cool. That's great. And this is 8 months after I've done a podcast. They're finding my group on Facebook. So that should blow your mind, right? So we talk about evergreen marketing. This is the best way to do that, the best way to see long-term results of the value that you put out there in the world. So, yeah. I'm going to just answer. Sharon says, I'm in for bundle and white label. Sharon, that's awesome. Let me just see. What are the best platforms to you for podcasting? So, Lynn, to host your podcast, Bcast. That's what we're giving to you. Of course, with Voice and Content, but Bcast. Beyond that, you automatically syndicate your content out over to Stitcher, to Spotify, just iTunes, Google podcasting places, and all these places as well. So it's all built in. You just have to have your accounts in these places. We share which ones, and then it just, as soon as your podcast is published, it also automatically gets syndicated as well. So you get traffic from those.
And I know some people have probably come onto this thinking, not even thought about podcasting before, but this is why I've actually got one of the reasons I bought a new microphone. I've actually got a podcaster mixer and stuff because I wanted to do podcasting. It is absolutely awesome. You're not going to find anything easier than this software, guys. All right, trust me, the traffic source is fantastic. I'd never actually saw it as a traffic source, to be honest with you. I saw it as a way of building myself up, of improving my own skills, which Ida can probably testify to. Because when I first done the first podcast, I was sitting there like a lemon, I think, not knowing what to say. And Ida, I want to do a podcast with you. If you start a podcast, I will jump on with you. That'd be awesome. How can you add your podcast to YouTube so it only shows the voice waves on the video? There is a way of doing it. I don't know if you know it, Neil. I know what you mean.
That's with Podreel. So that's where Podreel comes in. Basically, you feed the audio into Podreel, and it will give you an option to use captions, GIFs, whatever you wanted, or just voice waveforms, right? So you can use that and then spit out a video that you can share on YouTube, Facebook, whatever you choose.
Yeah, guys, if you got it and you want to do a live podcast, tell me. I can even control it, so you just answer questions, or we can go through a script or whatever. Because I'd love to do it. I'd love to do it again. Did you want to run through everything once more, Neil? Just in case there's anyone sitting on the fence. I know it's really weird, but I do put a lot of where I'm at down to podcasting, even though at the time I didn't realise how beneficial it was going to be.
Look, I'll be the first person to say that this is not your typical offer, right? This is not your typical click a button, make money sort of offer that quite often, we also put out. But the thing is, this is something that is authority building. And authority building is something you should absolutely invest in, because if you don't, then all you're doing is you're chasing one shiny object after another. So I equate this to something like Funnel Viewer, which I know we've talked about in one of these sessions as well, which is a funnel builder, or MailView, which is an email marketing platform. So anything that you would use to house your assets, for example, and then leverage that to build authority, is something that is the foundation of your business. And I think podcasting is one of those. And again, let me be clear, I will go to the offer again, but if you were to not get this today, I can promise you this, and I'm not saying this is a marketer, but I can tell you, I know the market. There's not going to be a podcast offer anytime soon, because number one, there are some technical complexities to create something like this. Number two, it's pricey, it's expensive, which is why the only solutions out there are monthly solutions. So for us to offer a one-time deal is an exception to the rule. It's not the rule itself. So don't think that I'll pass on this one, I'll take the next one, because there isn't going to be a next one. In fact, even in our case, we're not allowed to have this deal open until after the last day. So typically for these offers, the price goes up. That's what happens. But in our case, we actually have to close the deal down because of our contract with the Bcast team. So if you were to say like, okay, not today, maybe tomorrow, just saying, this time, I would say, okay, you can wait till tomorrow, the price might be higher. But this time the offer may not actually exist, depending on what date you're trying to get in. So once the end date comes, that's it, we're done. And just so you know, we've got Bcast Suite Professional license, which people are paying $97 for. We've got Bcast Suite Unlimited upgrade, which people are paying either $197 a year or $297 a one-time fee for. Then we've got Bcast Suite Business, which gives you business level capabilities so that you can go out there and actually sell podcasting as a service. Then if you choose as a bump offer, as a cross-sell, for $99, you can also get Bcast White Label. That gives you permission to resell sub-accounts with your own branding as well. Then, along with that, you get all the bonuses that we have to offer, which includes essentially 300 minutes of transcription, so 5 hours of transcription per podcast per month, and 10 hours of bandwidth per podcast per month, which equates to approximately 50,000 downloads, between 20 to 50, depending on how long your episodes are. So all that's yours, along with all the bonuses, and we only have 25 seats, and it's a restricted deal, which means not going to be available forever at all, not even just at this price at all. And again, as I mentioned, this is one of those foundational products. It's something that sooner or later you're going to need, and it's best to have it when you need it than try and pay Buzzsprout $24 a month, which is not bad, but it will add up after a year. And podcast is not something you can be like, I'll try for 6 months and let's see how it goes. Once you have it, you want it to be there forever. It's like having your content out there. Like, think about this. Would you ever write out a piece of content and then just put it out there and then delete it after 6 months? You won't. You want to see traffic from it forever. That's what your podcast need to be like as well.
Yeah, awesome. Ida says she'll get me on a podcast. I would love that, Ida. That would be pretty cool. So consider that done. There's a couple other questions.
Sure. Can we use your system in Clubhouse? No, you can't, because Clubhouse has its own system. So in Clubhouse, you have to be invited to different channels to, for example, talk. So that wouldn't work. Also, Bowser is asking, do we get lifetime upgrades? Yes, you do. So your software, do you have to pay for future upgrades? No, you don't. I mean, with these typical bundle deals, we promise you software updates as well. So I call them software updates. So yeah, anytime we add a new feature to the software, you will get access to it as a lifetime customer. And again, I don't want to use the word lifetime because of PayPal and FTC, but yeah, it is a one-time price, and it is for the lifetime of the software. So you get updates.
Yeah. This is the thing with Neil. Neil only creates things that he uses himself. Okay, so I know Neil will be using this moving forward, which means he will support it and upgrade it, update it, and things. You can see it already. So you've got trust. It's not that we ever have promoted anything that's there for a day and gone, but you can put trust that look at the other products Neil's done. They're still working every day. Okay. We could podcast off Friday night. I don't know. I don't know if someone want to listen to that for 8 hours either, or however long they sometimes last. That would be quite funny though. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if someone would actually listen to that.
No. I actually know someone who did a live 24-hour marathon, podcast marathon. It was a bit crazy.
I know those two guys. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I can't believe you're doing that. Yeah, let me see more questions. I don't know when I'll use the white label. Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, white label is something as simple as you talk to a friend and a friend says, oh, I'm thinking about setting up a podcast. Or, hey, I'm thinking about teaching people something. You can be like, hey, why don't you run a podcast? Hey, use this account. Like it would be a simple conversation like that, really. That's where the white label would come in. But of course, if you are an entrepreneur who wants to sell licenses, sub accounts, you can do that as well. That's perfectly okay as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So Sharon, I'm glad you're in for that. Yeah.
Matt Wayne, I'd like to have you on a podcast to promote the new one. Yeah, Mark, any podcast, anything you want to do, guys, I'm up for it. Because it's always pushing me outside my comfort zone and helping you guys as well. So always up for anything like that. Any more questions for Neil, guys? I don't want to keep him long because I know he's trying to sleep train his little, and I think he keep getting out of bed. So we want to make sure all the questions, if you've got any, have been asked. Remember, there's only a limited number of seats on this. There's only a limited number of people can grab this, and we're not doing this live again, guys. I'll tell you the reason. I weren't sure what the uptake would be on something like this. In all honesty, I didn't know how many people want to push themselves or want to do podcasts, but it's been interesting to see the people who do want to do it and understand the traffic it can bring, the quality of traffic it can bring.
Yeah, and I think I see podcasting as an investment. Like, I'll be honest, it's not one of those hit and run things where you can do it and see, okay, I made money or I didn't make money. It's something that you are literally putting out value. And I mean, every time you hear a guru speak, they say put our value into the world, and this is it. Like, podcast is by far the simplest way to put our value into the world. It really is,
because you just talk or you just let the software do it. So can you explain how you build an email list with the podcast?
Sure. So our podcasts have a built-in lead gen form. So when people come, they can sign up to the form, and they can, you can email them when you publish a new episode. But yeah, it's just like having a email capture form on your website. People come in, they want to hear from you in the future, so they will sign up.
And you can tell them we used to say at the end of the podcast about a free gift. We used to tell them about the free gift so you can point them towards it. That's what we used to do. Or tell them if you've got a group, tell them to search out your group and join it. It really does work brilliant. Oh, yep. Your screen's gone blue.
No, it's
what happened then? That was weird. I thought, oh no. We actually had a breakdown. You probably didn't notice now, but we had a technology breakdown halfway through, and one of the live streams stopped working, which is always fun. So yeah. I just thought, another gremlin. Any more questions, guys? I think you went through the offer again, didn't you, Neil?
Yeah.
Cool.
I did, yeah.
Anything else you want to add, Neil? I think we've answered all the questions.
No, I think it's fine. It's good.
Awesome. Yeah. Neil, thanks very much for jumping on. I'm interested, guys. If you bought this, make sure you hit me up, and we'll do something. All right, we will do something, because send a link to your podcast. I got to remember where they are. You can see all on my YouTube channel, Michelle. You can see the first podcast I did. I was like a rabbit in headlights. You can hear it in my voice, and that's one of the things that gave me a lot more confidence and keep doing lives and things. And you can see how I transformed, and you can actually on the podcast, I actually sometimes say, well, we've had 8,000 downloads, and you can actually hear it go up. So they'll be interesting to listen to. I might even start this again at some point, just because it is fun. Neil, thanks very much for jumping on, mate. Everyone that stayed to the end, thanks very much, guys. There is a couple of spaces left, which will probably be gone. And yeah, I'm looking forward. Please use the software, guys, because I want to see people use it. I'd love to see a couple of free people do their own podcast, come out and ask me to jump on. that would be awesome. That would be like job done, because podcasting is awesome, even though it's a weird traffic source you'd probably never have thought of. All right, thanks for that. And on that note, we'll call it a day. Neil, thanks very much, mate. Thanks everyone for listening, and I'll see you inside the group.
Thanks.
Bye bye.